So you're allowed one of each of these items, okay? So you're in isolation, and you're allowed one item of each. Okay, so one item of food. What would you choose?
Normally I like nachos. I can't resist nachos if I'm in a restaurant. I know it's the cheaper option in a way because nachos aren't very expensive. Maybe the guac, maybe the guacamole.
Yeah.
You know, but generally though, and if there's ribs around, I do like ribs though.
You're only allowed one, Dave. I'm sorry, we're in lockdown here. Gotta be the ribs or the nachos, Dave.
The ribs are quite inconsistent though. I don't know if you found that, Roy, but you order ribs and it's a bit inconsistent how they come, right? And so I'll go nachos because they're consistent everywhere you go. They're exactly the same.
That tells us a lot about Dave Gilpin, I think. What movie would you take? You're like one movie.
Oh gosh, I'm not. Let me think. I'm not a super big movie buff because I always go to sleep in the movies. Always, because the lighting. I think I'll just have a doze for about a minute.
Oh no!
Always turns into 25 minutes. I've lost the storyline.
You know, that's exactly what happens to me, though. I'm not even sleeping. And I just lose concentration. I'll say to Lydia, what is this movie about? And she'll say it's about a robot and Star Wars and stuff.
Oh, that's why Marvel movies, they're meant to be for 15-year-olds. I can't understand. I don't know what they're on about. I don't know what they're on about.
Unbelievable.
So I would say it has to be a mystery. It would have to be a thriller, I would say. Some thriller that puts you on the edge of your seat. I can't even think of one. That's how dumb I am with regards to...
No, that's because there's not really been too many great movies made recently, I guess. That's one of the challenges, isn't it? Okay, and are you an avid reader, Dave? Do you like reading?
No, I'm not. I'm so slow. And also, I've got books. I'm resting my phone on a pile of 15 books here. And you know, like, Dave, when are you going to read? This is supposed to be reading time. You know, I think if I get time though, I usually have a quiet time, and then there's not enough. I think I'm too immediate, too action Jackson, too much like a hot wind, you know, to sit down and read. I don't know. I just don't have enough time, I don't think. Maybe I do. Maybe it's just not my thing.
I get you. I'm not, reading is not an easy thing for me. I find it a challenge at times as well. Okay, here's another one.
They say leaders are readers, but I think leaders are thinkers.
Yeah, I think so. I think so. Because some of the greatest leaders really are not avid readers. So that bookshelf behind you there, that's just for show then, I presume, is it? Yeah?
Yeah, that's natural fact. That's all cleaned out. That's all the books I own, right? That's it. There's only a small number there, really.
Okay, here's another one. The sermon that has... This is a good one. I like this one. The sermon that has most impacted you, and you're allowed to take a recording of it, what would it be?
It was probably the one by Tony Campolo. You know, it's Friday, but Sunday's coming.
Oh, yes.
It's just classic that, because it's not, you know, it's just classic preaching. But I remember first hearing that when I was younger, thinking, it's Friday, you know, Jesus is on the cross.
Amazing.
But Sunday's coming, you know, it's Saturday. You feel invisible, you know, you feel ignored, but Sunday's coming.
Sunday's coming. That's great. I remember that, actually. I remember when it in the 1980s, I think, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah. Classic, though. Classic.
Okay, here's another one. Album, then. What if you were allowed to take one album, what would you take?
I'd probably take Born to Run by Bruce Springsteen. It launched a rock star. And I like the idea of someone coming from nothing to everything. And back then, you know, he had just put one album out that didn't really go anywhere. And then all of a sudden, just this piece of magnificence came about that launched just an incredible influence with incredible music, you know, and he's stuck it out. Bruce Springsteen was on Broadway for last year, back for maybe 2 years, whatever. Just an incredible career. So I kind of like the idea that that's the very start of something, you know. And I think, like for you and me, we're back in those days. We're back in the first album, the second album. You know, this is before the launch, before the big launch, you know, and I think I quite like that. You know, this is the pioneering days. This is us getting things right. This is us in the studio. This is us with people who haven't got experience. They've only just picked up a bass guitar, you know, but we give it a go. And we come out with Born to Run.
Yes.
It then launches everything. So I think that's where we're at, still in the studio.
Yes, I love that, Dave. I love it. I think that's where the greatest music is created as well. It's in the raw mistakes as well. I love it.
Yes, young people. It's like you look at Oasis, right? The stuff they put out on the first, second album was a complete different dimension to the stuff they put out when they were rich and famous. You know, often riches and fame destroys creativity.
I think so. I think that's right. Yeah.
You know, this is songs they were written when they were 15, 16, 17, the angst of those adolescent years, and just channeled into songwriting. And I think that's what we've got. That's what we're trying to do, create a hit factory, you know, channel young people, inexperienced people, just to launch a whole new way of thing, you know.
And of course, that's what you've been doing for years and years and years. Talk about a hit factory. You've produced a lot of hits over the years, and we're in awe of what you guys have done. Serious respect to you. You've inspired so many of us to do what we do. So thank you for that. I'm thinking about, I can't begin to imagine Dave Gilpin confined to his home.
It's not too bad, you know. It's not too bad.
Oh, really?
You're out. And I've been doing, my next door neighbour is a guy called Jonathan, and he's an ex-footballer, and his knees aren't good now because he's worn all the cartilage down. So what he wants to do is become an instructor, right? And so he's a personal trainer, and so he's been standing on the fence. He's been taking me and Jen and his wife on their side of the fence for every second day, 45 minutes to an hour of exercise in our back gardens. I've loved that. You know, me and my wife have gone for a walk every single day. I've been running around her, but she's been walking, and that's been good. And praying. I haven't prayed with Jen in ages.
Yep.
Like this is a brand new season of praying together. I'm really enjoying it.
Yes.
So that's come about. You know. So that's I don't know. Like I'm racing through the days, and I'm a strategist, right? So I really enjoyed it. If I've got, say, an 8-hour stopover between plane trips, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
8 hours. I'm thinking
because that's a time when you'll get lots of work done, right?
Yeah, fiddle around, talk to people, chat, text, encourage, and I quite like that. You know, I think that's where I'm at. And I think when you're a bit older, your job is to shepherd more, and so it's not just to push people along. It's to admire them and adore them.
Yes, I love that.
Adoring is quite spontaneous. You know, you want to you feel adoring thoughts to someone. You want to express it straight away to capture the specialness of it. You know, so you know.
And you sort of hit a milestone birthday this year, right? You hit. I'm not going to say
the yet.
But the question is, I mean, you know, so I've known you for many years now, and you know, you've always been a creative, an activist, a pioneer, and so on. But I'd be interested to know your perspective. How has Dave Gilpin changed? You know, what did Dave Gilpin at? I'll not mention the age.
Oh yeah.
How's Dave Gilpin different now compared to 10 years ago, 20 years ago? I mean, are you more relaxed than ever before, or is there a greater sense of urgency to get things done than ever before? What's the deal?
Great point. I don't think I'm more relaxed. I think, though, that you can't just prepare yourself for your whole life. So I've spent a lot of decades prepping, right? Trying not to be a one-hit wonder, trying to get bigger and stronger. Yeah, and so I've spent most of my years prepping for now. Yep. So now I've got to wake up and say, Dave, you're it. This is your golden period.
Yes.
Don't just say a message. Be everything that God's called you to be, because you are the message.
Yes.
And so every time I preach, every time I stand, every time I'm somewhere, I say, Dave, let it loose, right? You are the message. You've got the message. You've got experience behind you. You've got faith with you. you are a genius. I want to take out any brake pedal of doubt and think this is the time.
Yes.
This is the Esther moment. I was called for such a time as this.
Yes.
And I think that's maximizing the brilliance that God's placed in me.
Amazing.
Because
Dave.
I'm not going to do something half-heartedly.
Yes.
Everything I'm going to do 100%. And so that's I'm thinking, right, that's it. I'm going to now live 3 people's lives in the next 20 years. That's it. Just going to do it.
Yeah.
And it has definitely changed me.
Yes. Love it, Dave. Love it. So love it. And is it, do you think it's too early to tell then what, we all suspect there's going to be a new normal after all this, or will there be a new normal? Will we just get back to normal, or are things going to be different? Is it too early to tell, do you think? Or
I don't know. I quite like online stuff, online church services. I think they're okay. No, I think 2 ways. They're brilliant and they're okay. I think I call it online dating, in that, a lot of people are getting a lot of hits on all their online stuff. So obviously
we're all mega churches overnight, aren't we?
Yeah. So people are spooping, and I think the church has neglected online dating. They just say, come to church. And I mean, I think we've been idiots because we keep saying to people, come to church, come to church. They're not going to come to church. It's like saying, come to Mongolia with me. Well, how am I going to do that? And I don't even, where am I going to get the tickets from? It's too far-fetched. But if you just say, watch online, and also I'm a firm believer that people's internet history is the real them. And it showed, because that's what you do in private. And I think that in the privacy of someone's own, and like Americans in privacy voted for Donald Trump, but in public they said, I'm against him. And so privacy, private moments say a lot more than public moments. And I think people have a quest for God. It's just they'll keep that quest to the privacy of online searches. And I think if they're searching God and searching you because you live next door and searching your church, I think this is the church catching up with online dating. And I think online dating, it all starts with Match.com, or it starts with swipe left, swipe right. And it takes the relationship from 0, up to 5, right, on the scale. But then you have to eventually meet in the bar. You have to meet at the restaurant, and that takes the relationship into either it collapses it or takes it into proper dimensions. And I think that we've just said, forget the online dating, come straight to church. And I think this will change the way we interact, and also I think it'll change the way we preach, because I'm caught up in one way the preachy type preacher. I still do a lot of it. And I think, Dave, what are you doing? Right. And it's when you're given a big stage and when you've got people in front of you, you just turn into something that you aren't like that in any other time, but you turn into it. And so I think that this will bring out the stools more, bring out more interviews, make it more chatty, and therefore make it more 21st century. People don't want to.
I love that, Dave, and I think it's so true. It's ultimately a very healthy thing that the world is watching us, and to be self-conscious of that is a healthy thing, because then that will cause us to really question everything we're doing and the way we do things as well. That is very, very helpful. Any tips for leaders out there in terms of how to lead an online church in this season? I mean, any advice you could offer?
Oh my goodness me, to lead an online church. I think for a start, I've had to really wrestle with people who are on the back foot, leaders who have been full of fear. And I've had to say, does the law really say that? And I'm thinking, Dave, why are you like this? It's because fear's gripped their heart.
Yes.
And for example, you're okay to record online church down at some facility as long as there's no audience there. And that's a government regulation. It says that online church is okay without the audience there, right? But even that, people, you can't walk around. We're doing food parcels right now. Oh, you can't drive to the shop and then drive down to church to drop it off. I'm thinking, this is emergency relief in an emergency situation.
Yes,
and you're quoting something that isn't the law. you've made it up. It's the spirit of fear. So I would say that people need to come out of the spirit of fear, wake up,
yes,
and adhere to government regulation. But don't make up government regulations, right? Just adhere to the spirit of it. But we're here to impact the world. This is taking the church out of the salt shaker, and it's salting the earth. And the only purpose that God has in using coronavirus, he's not the initiator, he's not the author. He uses whatever he likes, is to set fire to the church and to get the church out of the salt shaker, to set fire to the world, right? So let's do it. I'm looking forward to people getting revelations, seeing writing on walls, having angelic visitations, having divine appointments with people, next door neighbors saying, hey, what must I do to get saved? That's what I'm looking for.
Yes.
Touch paper, the house on fire, church on fire. You know what I mean?
Yes, I love that, Dave. I absolutely love it, and I concur. And the fear thing, it is a fascinating thing to observe, the fearful talk of leaders, wanting to, almost a little legalistic in their application of the law, and missing the point that actually we are allowed to gather in small groups in our buildings and so on, and record services. Yeah. So I think that's really, really interesting. What is it? I'm trying to term this right. What is God doing in all of this then, do you think? I mean, there's a big prophetic picture out there. It's interesting, the prophets never predicted any of this. It's and maybe that's a lesson in itself, actually, about the importance of local church. What do you think that God is? What's the big picture, the big thing that God's doing, do you think, in all of this?
I don't know. I think it's just getting us out from the dining room, getting us into the gym. I think that's it. We've been in the dining room, checking out sermons, another worship experience, another word from God, another devotional, another sense of his presence, right? Well, how many points do you need from sermons? We've all had 2,000 points of a 3-point sermon. How many more do we need? And then how many more touches from God's presence do you actually need? If you are fearful, you do need a touch from God. But if you've overcome fear, right, get out of the dining room. You've eaten too much. You're getting fat. Go into the gym. Go into the world and start exercising those calories and creating muscles out of them. This should be the muscling up of God's church, because this is all about the world. It's all about the world coming to Christ. And so even though I'm not trying to I don't want to have less listeners on my online broadcast, right? But most people don't need another sermon. Yes,
that's so true, Dave. It's so true. And I love the fresh perspective that you bring. This is vintage Dave Gilpin, and I love it. It's just great. What about then? And obviously, as pastors, this is a big season in the sense we're dealing with all the people losing jobs, and getting the virus and so on, and then of course the families who are pretty much stuck in their homes at the moment. Yeah. What would you say to things like mental health and all of this, and just the sense of panic and worry? Any advice that you would offer?
I don't know, because mental health is a very complicated thing, right? And what I have said recently is that Christians have a nirvana type perspective of what it should be to be a Christian, and my idea is that emotions, you'll never be rid of negative emotions, and you'll never be rid of temptation. As long as they're a river and not a flood, we're doing okay. And I think Christians are waiting to be delivered from negative emotions, delivered from temptation into this sense of nirvana. I think we've made it up. As long as it's a river, and as long as you built the banks up through good environmental conditions, through meditating on God's word, through good confession, etc., then we're doing fine. But I think the idea that you'll never be anxious, God's freed you from anxiety, I'm thinking that planet is planet heaven, but it's not planet Earth.
Yes.
You know, and so victory is pushing everything back into the river. That's victory. That's being an overcomer. But it's not getting rid of it and I think that to me that's really helped me out because I'm a perfectionist, because I'm a melancholic, and I've had to destroy the evil of perfection. And people preach in a perfect way that deliverance means you're out of it completely. And I think it's not true. I think that I think if you're susceptible to depression, you'll probably always be susceptible to it, right? But in a number of years' time or another month's time, it'll be a river. You'll hear the river, but the river will never come near you.
Yes.
And that's victory.
Yes, I love that. That is absolutely brilliant, Dave. I really love it. And that perspective is fresh because it's real, it's gritty, it's earthy. It's how God uses our present realities to propel us to a greater purpose. I love that. Final question. I know that you have a lot of 20s and 30s in your church. That would be the majority of our church. Yeah. Our church is, I'm basically a young adult pastor.
Yeah, you're like Uncle Roy, aren't you? Uncle Roy with all the children.
Uncle Roy? What? But I mean, would you have any words of wisdom, advice for the 20s, 30s generation and all of this?
I would say you got a chance to really prove yourself. You got a chance you've got a chance to pray a lot each day, you know, to carve out something in the spirit, right? You've got a chance to have a long devotional time. You've got a chance to study the word, right? And you've got a chance to put everything into action. And online, you can contact every single person online, and then you've got a chance to be the person that God's called you to be. You've got a chance to not succumb to the pleasures of this world. You've got a chance to rein in your sexuality, rein in the sexual tensions. You know, you don't need sexual expression. You know, if anything, a sense of purpose is what reins every single thing in. You know, everything comes into line with a sense of purpose. So you want to drive each day with a sense of purpose, knowing that you are here to make a difference. And if you don't, then nobody will.
Yes.
And you're a revival maker. And then you want to have your assignment for your confinement. You know, it might be doing a year-long degree in 3 months. It might be starting a Bible college. It might be doing art, etc., etc. Right? You want to find that. And then when you relax, you want to make sure that your relaxation is healthy. Do some exercise. My goodness me, you need to do exercise because you know mental health is associated with physical health. You know, and then you want to relax and you just want to self-monitor. You know, the stuff that's on Netflix that's good. There's some stuff that really is not helpful to you. And you don't want to over-sexualize yourself with over-sexualized input because it's just going to make you crazy. Then you're going to have to deal with guilt, and then guilt takes a while to deal with, not because God can't forgive us, because we're not good receivers of forgiveness. And so you end up just being a bit of a mess because you allowed seeds to grow into seedlings and into plants, right? Just watch the seeds that you sow within your mind. You know, you've got a lot of freedom now, and but you know, God watched the private life of David when he was 17. And because he watched his private life, he killed a lion, he killed a bear. God said, I'm gonna put Goliath in front of you so that you can slay Goliath. And I think that private time in all of our lives is God watching on. And I think we need to respect God, not just love God. We need to respect God. And what you sow in your earlier years is what you reap. Often and this is not exactly true, right? So it's not true for everyone listening, but often problems that come up when people are 45, when the kids are 16 years of age, whatever, usually the problems that come up are undealt with problems when people were young adults. And if there's a time to deal with those problems, it would be around now.
Yeah.
You know, it's got some major, you can do a lot, just you and God, right? A lot, then you've got some wise counselors. You can do quite a bit with them. Some people need specialized help, right? But the majority of people just need God, and a few good friends who are wise, some leaders in their lives. And you can overcome some obstacles that was in your parents' life, in your grandparents' lives, in your great-grandparents' lives. It's just come down like a train through the generations. And this time right now is a chance for you to stop the train, get off the train, destroy the train, and then hop on the boat that you're always called to be on, you know. The sailing boat, driven by the wind of the Spirit of God, you know. So you can do some pretty big things at this time, rather than just put up with strange reactions, you know, strange, weird behavior that people think, I don't know why I did that. No, that's because you haven't studied yourself. There's a reason why you did it. Get to the root of it and deal with the root of it, you know. That's what I'd say.
Brilliant, Dave. Dave, as ever, fresh, inspiring. Thank you for being you, and thank you for inspiring a generation. You are such an inspiration to so many of us. And we just love you and Jen so much. And you were unbelievable. And everybody, you came to our church and you preached, and everybody's talking about mega babes. It is amazing.
I love that.
Just amazing. But thank you so much. Listen, Dave, and by the way,
can I just say that your church is totally magnificent. And I've got to say, honestly, I've never seen anything like it. It's just zeal, it's raw, it's alive. You've picked up something of Christ. You know, it says zeal for his house, consume Jesus Christ, right, as a prophecy. And I think you've picked up something of Christ in your church. You know, and every church might reflect some dimension of God, every good church, right? But yours, it just reflects the zeal of God. And so every time I've been there, I've just come away totally blown apart by it. But this is your gift to the world. You know, this is your gift. This is why God's created Junction Church, right? So the zeal would be contagious, and that contagiousness would counteract a sense of c'est la vie, and a sense of, you know, just whatever, you know, and it totally counteracts something culture in our culture. And I think that's why you're created. And I say to everyone in Junction Church, just you maintain that. Don't let anything get in the way of it. Don't ever be complacent. Always be up for it. Up for a fight, up to light fires, up to start a storm. You know, be storm makers, because that's why God's created such a powerful church.
Love it. Love it, Dave. You're such an encourager. Dave, thank you so much for joining us today. And on a personal level, thank you for laughing at my stupid jokes that I send to you on virtually a daily basis.
Oh.
And I got to tell you something. I send these things to numbers of pastors, and you're the only guy who responds. So thank you. And you're just, I know you're being nice. I know they're not funny, but you encourage me. So thank you for that. You're an amazing guy. Listen, will you send our love to Jen and all the family? We love you so much.
Love you.
Praying for you in this season that you'll go from strength to strength. Thank you so much, Dave.
Love you, Roy. Take care. See you soon.
God bless you, Dave. See you later. Bye.